All right, so today we're going to go and learn how to add integers. So remember from last week, integers are positive and negative whole numbers. So numbers to the right of 0 on a number line are positive integers, and the numbers to the left of 0 on a number line are negative integers. Two vocabulary words that we touched on last week: opposites. Opposites are two numbers that are the same distance from 0 but on opposite sides of 0. And additive inverse, the sum of an integer and its opposite is 0. So we're going to touch on both of those today as well. So opposites in our example last week, opposites we started with are like -4, which is 4 spaces to the left of 0, and 4, which is 4 spaces to the right of 0. Those are opposites. And then additive inverse is when I add -4 with +4, its answer is 0 because they cancel each other out. And they are called a zero pair. It's a pair of numbers whose sum equals 0. A zero pair is always made up of a positive and a negative form of the same number. Example, +1 and -1, they're opposites of each other. They're also additive inverses, which is another name for zero pair. One positive and one negative will equal 0 and therefore cancel each other out. So we're going to see a couple different forms of adding here. So +1 and -1. So we're going to get in terms of a number line and in terms of these chips. So these chips are the circle dots you see. So red is going to be positive, and I'm also going to use the plus sign and negative sign. So the black is going to be negative, so that's one negative sign. So it's an example of the +1 and -1. So if I have one positive and one negative, it's kind of like a positive and negative sign. For every positive, there's one negative, they cancel each other out. Again, for every red chip and black chip, they cancel each other out and they make 0. So the one positive and the one negative, they're going to cancel each other out, and you're going to have none left. Black chip, red chip, cancel each other out, you're going to have none left. So that's why the answer is 0. And it's just a cancellation of a positive and a negative. So we're just going to get right down to examples. So I'm going to do it a couple different ways. So I'm going to do it with the chips first. So I have 5 plus 4. So 5, there's no negative number out in front. So negative sign out in front. So it's a positive. So I'm going to have positive 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chips. And then I'm going to plus 4. So I know 4 is positive too because there's no negative sign out in front. So I'm 1, 2, 3, 4. And then at the very end, I look for any red or black chips that'll cancel each other out. So I see all red chips, so no cancellation. So I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's a total of 9 red chips. And since red represents positive, it's a positive 9. There's another way you can do it too, and you can do it off a number line. So I'm just going to label my number line really quickly. All right, so with the number line, you're going to start at 0, and since 5 is positive, I'm always starting at 0. 5 is positive. I'm going to work my way right because it's a positive 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's where I stop. And then I look at my another number. It's plus 4. So that's a positive 4. So I go 4 more to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's where I end on 9. So those are two different ways of doing adding integers. Let's look at another example. So let's use our chips just as an example. So I look at 6 right here. It's a plus 6 out in front to the left. There's no sign, so it's a positive 6. So, ooh. Pause for a second. Alright, so I need 6 chips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I look at the 3, and there's that negative sign to the left of 3, so I need 3 negatives. So 1, 2, 3. And now you look at whether or not you have a pair of red and black chips. So here's one red and here's one black. Kind of disappear, cross out. Here's one red, here's one black, they cross out. Here's one red, here's one black, they cross out. And you got to look at what you're left over. 1, 2, 3 red. That means your answer is going to be 3 and positive. You can also do a number line as well. So I'm going to do 0, 1, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so the first number you have right here is a positive 6. So I'm going to start at 0 and go to positive 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's where I end right there. And then look at that 3. The 3 has that negative sign out in front. So I'm not, instead of going right, which is the positive direction, I'm going to go left in the negative direction for 3. 1, 2, 3, and that's how I get to my answer. So for another example, at home you might not have chips, so I'm going to use signs. So if I were to do this at home, I would use the plus sign for positive and the minus sign for negative. So out right here, so you have negative 5 plus 8. So that negative 5, that's a negative, so I'm going to do 5 negative signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this plus 8 is positive because of that plus sign, so I'm going to do 8 positives, plus signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to pair them off. So every plus and minus sign, they form a group and they cancel each other out. So there's one group that cancels each other out. There's another group that cancels each other out. Another plus and minus sign cancel each other out. Plus and minus sign cancel each other out. Plus and minus sign cancel each other out. And I'm left with 3 plus signs left over with no minus signs to make a group. So that's my answer. So it's 3 positives. So it's a positive 3. You also do this on a number line. Alright, on a number line, you're going to start from 0, and you're going to go with the first number. So the first number is negative 5, so I'm going to go to the left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's, I stop there for a second, and then my next number is plus 8, so I'm going to go right 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's your final answer, that 3. Which is the same result we got from the plus and the minus signs. Alright, our next example. Again, at any time I encourage you to pause and try any of these examples on your own. So we have 4 plus negative 2. So again, I'm going to do plus signs for positive and negative signs for negative. So 4 right here. So that's a positive 4 because there's no sign to the left of it. So I'm going to do 4 plus signs. And then plus a negative 2. So I'm adding negative 2's to that, so 2 negatives. So 1, 2 negative signs. So I'm going to look for a pair of a positive and a negative. So here's one pair. They cancel each other out. Here's another pair. They cancel each other out. And I have no more pairs left over, so what am I left with? two positive signs, so it's a 2 positive. So you can also do a number line as well, what we've been doing and drawing out. So on this number line, you're going to start with the first number 4. So I'm going to start at 0 and go to 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to stay right there for a second. And then the next number is plus -2. So that plus means I'm going to go in the right direction, but I'm adding -2, so that's left because it's a negative. So I'm going to go left direction 2 spots. So 1, 2. So there's your answer right there. So I encourage you to do both the different ways until we get used to adding and subtracting. So we have -3 plus -5. So again, I'm going to use the plus sign for positive and the negative sign for negative. So this 3 is negative. So I'm going to add 3 negatives. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to add the 5 is negative. So 5 more negative signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see in my group that I have right here, there are no plus signs. So no cancellation of signs that are going to occur. So I just need to count how many negative signs I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's -8. Another example. Again, I encourage you to pause and try at any time any of these problems. So you have +2 plus -6. So I have 2 plus signs. 1, 2. And I have 6 negative signs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these cancel out. Plus a negative. Another group cancels out. What am I left over with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 negative signs. You can also do it on a number line. So I'm going to start at 0 and go over 2 spots. 1, 2. And then that negative sign for 6 tells me I'm going to go in the left direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots to the left, and you end up in the -4. I encourage you again to pause and try any of these videos. So right now I'm going to have you pause and try these examples that we have. We have 5 examples for you. So -4 plus -3. So you start at 0, go left 4 spaces to -4, and then that -3 means I go left 3 more spaces, and my answer is -7. -5 plus 9. So you go start from 0, go left 5 spaces, and then you go right 9 spaces, and your answer is 4. Start at 15, and then you add -8 to it. So that -8 means you're going left 8 spaces from 15, so you have 7. Start at 2, so you're at +2, and then you go left 6 spaces, and you finish at -4. 7 plus 1 is 8. Again, I'm hoping you completed these on your own. So that's adding integers with a number line, and adding integers with positive and negative signs, and adding integers with red and black chips. Once you get the hang of it, and get from what positive and negative whole numbers are and adding integers, then we can remove the plus and negative signs and number lines, but I highly suggest you complete your homework with a number line just to help, or positive and negative signs, until we get more practice. Let me know if you have any questions, but that is adding integers.